here. Welcome to the channel. Hope you're having a great day. It is Boxing Day, so I thought we'd have a little bit of fun on attempting something new. If you've listened to me at all, you've heard the phrase, Dingbat of the highest order. What's a dingbat? Well, a liberal lefty motivated by their idealism, their cultism, their feelings, rather than fact or science. And I mean, with DEI and all of the things, and we've just been up to our ears in it for years, and there's a lot of dingbats competing. It took a lot to narrow down the list, but we're going to attempt this anyway. One that we absolutely have to mention is that little doom goblin, Greta Thunberg. One of the dingbats of the highest order on this planet. She was brought up and groomed by her parents. Some say she was autistic. She never really did much in school. Both of her parents are sort of failed actors / activists themselves, so you can see where the motivation to push their child into something came from. I honestly believe that that's because at like 13 years old, she just didn't emerge on her own, for the little climate activist she became. No, it was motivated by her parents, for sure. But I mean, and Greta's what now? She's 21, 22 now. In the last couple of years, we have seen her pivot from climate change activism, because it's kind of getting passé. The new thing, don't you know, is to support Palestine. That's right, you get a groovy scarf and everything. It's all the new fad, and she jumped on board. Now she's all about Palestine and Gaza, and she's been arrested a couple of times. This is hilarious. These liberal lefties, especially these climate people and stuff, Greta, they are absolutely the hypocrisy. Well, with any of the green agenda people, the hypocrisy is huge. And nonetheless, with her, she did things like, oh, they're gonna sail into Gaza with aid. Well, turns out her and the crew of the boat had to fly to the port to get on the boat to sail to Gaza. And I mean, as far as their humanitarian aid, this was Greta was going to save the day, and her crew bring humanitarian aid to Gaza. They had like a bag or two of flour on board. It was nothing. The whole thing was a publicity stunt. She's done this every time. Even in the old climate days, she had to sail here or there. I think she showed up at one of the COP meetings or something to protest something. But, they had to take a boat because she wouldn't fly. Well, turns out, same thing. They flew the crew in to fly and then, flew them back home again. It was the whole thing. Like all of them, is performative. So now she's doing this thing. She's 22, 21, 22, somewhere in there. By the time she's 25, it'll be something else, because this will have gone by the wayside or just gotten way too violent to be involved in. So, yeah, Greta definitely deserves a mention, because she is a dingbat of the highest order. She's been with us since she was a child, and I don't think she's going away. She's like a mosquito that you have to bat away. She's always around, but it's not really that important. An offshoot of hers and this whole Gaza thing and has been the Queer for Palestine. Those people, oh, dingbats of the highest order, they are marching with their signs and their scarves, and, they've been so oppressed themselves that they're standing with their brothers in Gaza in support. Have these people no idea of the religious and sociological, ideological beliefs of those people over there? They're not quite so much into queers and flags and rainbows and as the rest of them are. Just saying. Might be an idea to kind of understand what you're supporting. When you see this kind of silliness, those are dingbats of the highest order. Indeed. Couple of dingbats that we have to mention, indeed, are Ellen DeGeneres and Rosie O'Donnell. Trump derangement syndrome sufferers. They fled America because they could no longer live in a world where Trump was king, it's just... So they both fled to the UK. Well, Rosie's in Ireland. I believe she's in the Republic of Ireland, not Northern Ireland. I may be wrong, but I think so. And Ellen and Portia fled to Britain's countryside. I'm not exactly, but, here they go. Ellen's been over for a little over 2 years now, and they're itching to leave. Their properties on the market. Because, things were so bad in sunny LA. Trump was the problem. They had to leave, and all it does is rain. Their whole mansion's been flooded a couple of times. They can't even sell the place. She hates it here. She's aged a decade in a couple of years, and some conspiracy theories will tell you why. Some might just say, oh, it's the crappy weather and lack of sun, but yeah, they're not enjoying it at all. Yet this madness in their heads, when they've got all the money in the world and could do whatever they wanted, never going to be happy. They're trying to find their way back to the States. Can't sell their property in the UK. It is hilarious. Dingbats of the highest order. Then you've got Rosie O'Donnell, another dingbat. She went to Ireland with her 12-year-old daughter, who of course is transgender or fluid or something. Lefty O'Donnell has put a label on her kid and bending her in an unnatural manner. In my opinion, yeah. Rosie had to leave the States as well. It was so bad. Trump's a crazy man. Well, you would think after moving 2,000 miles away, 1,000 miles away, never have to say his name or talk about him ever again. That's all she can do on her Instagram every other day. There's a Rosie rant against Donald Trump, claiming, that's why he's just ruined her life to the point where even her own therapist says, you really got to stop this Trump thing. It's unhealthy, girl. Her own therapist can't stand it. It's hilarious. Hilarious. There's another one we have to mention. Special mention. Nepo baby category. Violet Affleck. Daughter of Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner. She's like 19 or 20 now. She's in university, getting a highbrow education. Well, because of the fact that her parents are celebritards, she has access to things like the UN, which is insane. Yeah, their daughter, whom was like 12, 13, during the worldwide panic. Well, the day she masked up, she found her calling and never wants to take it off again. She is, a college student now, standing up in front of the UN like she has any authority, telling them that everybody's got to mask up all the time, indoors, outdoors, all around the town, children, babies. Masks should be mandatory 24/7 for everybody. This is a case, again in my opinion, of severe dingbatitis brought on by parents, liberal lefty parents. You betcha that, and I mean, here you go, just saying, this kid, Violet Affleck, the fact that she should have any influence at all in being allowed the time to go in front of the UN stating she thinks everybody needs to mask up all the time forevermore, because she's rich and is allowed to do that, she's being reinforced that she's right. Her parents should be saying, calm down, take the mask off, you're just fine, you're gonna be fine, everybody else in the family is fine. Well, not so much. I mean, liberal lefty family influence from the parents. Of course, they've got a trans kid too, her youngest sibling Finn, normally known as Serafina. And now look, I'm not making fun of kids. I'm calling out their parents. You see this with all the celebrity, lefty, liberal, crazy parents. Every kid is trans, because it's the trend. 10 years ago, they all were carrying a little dog in their purse. Now they all have a trans child. It's just the way it goes. Dingbats of the highest order, indeed. And it's not surprising either that every one of the dingbats I have chosen, although there's many male ones as well, not surprising that I chose women, because women are the comforters, women are the nurturers, women operate on emotion and feeling, and that's all the save the earth and save the trees and save the trans kids and everybody's equal. And it's like it's the comedian Adam Carolla calls it chick think. And he will tell you that's what's wrong with California. And you know he's not wrong. Look at this. It is. It's absolutely chick think. Trump derangement syndrome. The green, all the energy around green living and this and that, and the mask wearing and all of it. All the lefty impulses are being fed, and this is why these governments are being able to get away with like mass illegal immigration, things like that. Well, you're not going to turn a human away, are you? How heartless are you? It's a lefty thing, and they've grabbed. The world's being run by a female brain. It really is. So it's not surprising. And, call me what you want. Hey, I've been probably called worse by better, so I don't care. And we haven't even gotten to our Dingbat of the Year. Our Dingbat of the Year has had quite a few very successful years in the music industry. She's had video game spin-offs and sort of documentary movies. She's had a couple of famous marriages. We knew right from the beginning that she was a liberal. We knew right from the beginning she was a dingbat, but she appeared pretty normal for a fair bit of time. Till it all started to go sideways. And she's just been a laughingstock ever since. And of course, I'm talking about Katy Perry. She's our Dingbat of the Year for many, many, many reasons. Of course, she's, a lefty. She's California. She's an astronaut now, don't you know? Going up in Jeff Bezos. They didn't even. There's so much evidence that the photos, even including her, were completely faked. It was done on a soundstage. We know when you look at the pictures and the flap on that they never went to space. However much all of them, and remember Gayle King, after that she just found it impossible to talk to anybody else that hadn't been to space because, it changed her so much. Katie did that whole kiss in the ground thing. Unbelievable. It was nothing more than a publicity stunt. A stunt which Katie needed badly and most likely paid for. She's gotten a lot of bad press with her marriage to, and now the name's going to escape me. Yeah, fell apart even though they have a kid. Orlando Bloom. Yeah, that's gone sideways. Katie's reputation has been shot to hell with her ongoing fight. And it isn't the first one, this one, with a veteran, this very, very ill veteran had a house that she wanted her eye on. And this has been going on for like 5 years. She finally convinced him to sell her the house, right? And then his family got involved and said, no, doesn't have the mental capacity. She badgered him we're not selling her the house. She's not getting the house. So the family won that, but then, can you imagine this heartless wench? She took him to court for damages, and just recently, within the last weeks, yeah, she won, I think, $2 million in damages. Just enough. She didn't get his $7 million home, but she got enough money out of this dying veteran that the bugger's going to have to sell the phone to pay the damages, and his kids are going to miss out anyway. That's how awful she is. She's not just a dingbat. She's that awful. Do that for a vet, right? You know, can you? And that's not the first shady real estate deal she's done. I don't know all the details of others, but there has been others. That makes her a cruel woman. But let's get back to the dingbat status. Oh my God, have you seen clips of the tour she did this year? So outrageous. Terrible dancing. The singing wasn't great. Robotic actions and, milking her bra at one point. The whole thing, milking beer out of her bra cup at one point. The whole thing. You're past your prime, baby. You're past your prime. It's unwatchable. And I think she knows it. Like, this is bad. The tour got panned wherever it went. It was a really rough year. Between being not an astronaut and not a very good entertainer and not a nice person, she had to do something to redeem herself. So you know what this dingbat did? She hooked up with probably the only other person on the planet worse than her, Justin Trudeau, former Prime Minister of this country, dingbat of the highest order, virtue signaling scumbag, who is rumored to have done some very terrible things against women in the past. He's divorced. He's very effeminate. He's a feminist. You can tell by the socks. His socks tell a story. The guy is a dingbat of the highest order, and he practically ruined what he didn't ruin in this country. Carney's cleaning up the mess. Thank you, Britain. But yeah, Katy Perry and Justin Trudeau. Now that he's no longer Prime Minister, he doesn't have access to a jet whenever he wants it. He's been made a fool of on the world stage for years. He was laughed at in political circles, but that didn't bother him as long as he got the attention. As long as people noticed him. He didn't care for what for. So for him, hooking up with Katy Perry, well, she's still a celebrity. She still gets papped. She's got, if not her own private plane, access to one. He gets to travel the world. It's not like Justin has to be a freeloader. He's got hundreds of millions himself, but these people are always the same. I can't think of anyone right now that's a bigger dingbat of 2025 than Katy Perry herself. Hope you enjoyed this. I tried to have a little bit of fun. Leave me a comment. I want to know who you think Dingbat of the Year should be. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.